What do I say? Welcome to the Toke&Trans podcast, where we talk life, love, and getting high. Grab a J and join us.
What is going on, everybody? It's your two favorite boys, Aaron and Bo here, hanging out, just chilling, and we wanted to let you know about a few things today. Bo, why don't you tell them what we're covering?
Yeah, so I think we wanted to address the parents today and provide like an all-encompassing FAQ for parents of trans kids or maybe gender questioning kids. Like your kid just came out to you, like, what now? Maybe you're freaking out.
Yeah.
Maybe you have no idea what to do. Maybe you're scared.
Yeah.
And you have lots
Maybe you're
of
just
questions.
getting hints and you're like trying to get ahead.
Yeah, right. And we all parent differently, and everybody deserves to be fully informed before they make very important decisions for their children. So we wanted to talk to you guys, the parents that love your kids and want what's best for them. We're here to answer all these questions that all of you probably have after something like that.
Definitely.
Let's get into it.
Let's dive in. We've got the top 30 that we think that will be the best for you. So we're just going to kind of bust through them and kind of cover, maybe what your child may be thinking, maybe kind of just another perspective to give you more information, right? So the first one, pretty obvious, right? What does it mean to be transgender? Bo, do you want to cover that one first?
Sure. Put simply, it means that they identify as a gender differently than assigned to them at birth. So that is to say, if you were a child that presented sex characteristics similar to a female, you are identified as a girl, or vice versa. If you have sex characteristics that identify you as a male, you are a boy. But if you are transgender, someone with the sex characteristics that defines them as male would identify as a female or a woman or a girl or something in between, and vice versa. An assigned female at birth person would identify as a boy or a man or something else in between. So that's transgender.
Yeah. That's it right there.
That's it.
I think that covered it well. Our next one, how do I know my child is really transgender and not just confused? Okay, so for this one, we're really going to have to dive into the fact that, your kid's experience is going to be their individual experience, and that how they feel about themselves is not something that you're going to be able to validate or invalidate. Now, I will say that they're maybe just questioning or they have questions, right? And maybe they're just in the questioning spot, and that's where you're kind of thinking the word confused, right?
Mm-hmm.
I would recommend getting like a therapist that knows about gender expression and those types of things, to kind of dive into those feelings and see, kind of sort those things out. You can also have them, join different support groups where they might be able to hear other people's experiences and say, is this resonating with me in any way, or is this like not quite what I'm thinking about myself, and this might not be the right path for me.
Right. Another thing that would be important to pay attention to in this case is they say the insistence, persistence, and consistence in this. So if they are insistent that they are transgender, they come to you one day and they say, "Mom, I'm a boy." Okay, you're a boy, sweetie. That's okay. Let's be a boy today. We're playing pretend or something. Sure, but if they keep coming to you saying, "I'm a boy," if they are consistent, it does not waver. It does not change. They are always what they say they are, and they are insistent on it. If they call you, if you accidentally call them something, they say, "No, I'm a boy." This is the things that lead us to believe that it is that they are truly transgender and not just confused. They are telling you that they understand who they are and this is what they are. Also, typically,
I love that.
the concept of gender constancy is usually solidified around age 5 or 6. So usually, and I mean, we often think about like kids being 5 or 6 years old, like not old enough to not know these things, but it turns out they do. Gender constancy can be like represented as like, maybe in preschool or something. If one of your child's classmates came to preschool in a tutu, your child might think, oh haha, you're wearing a tutu, you're a girl, even though yesterday they were a boy. They don't know that your gender would usually stay the same. But just
Right.
because that boy's in a tutu and this child thinks tutus are for girls, your child might think, oh, you're a boy. But around 5 or 6, your child would understand, oh, haha, you're a boy in a tutu. You're not a girl now
I
because you're wearing a
see.
tutu.
I
You're a boy.
see.
Right.
Wow,
So
that's interesting.
yeah. So around 5 or 6, they probably have a good understanding of who they are if they have the language for it.
Mm.
Some, if you're teaching your child that people can't, like, boys can't be girls and girls can't be boys, or like, if you've introduced them to language that like boys don't play with Barbies, or like girls don't play with, or
Yeah,
um
yeah.
if that's how you're raising them, then they wouldn't have the language to know that, and in that case you might end up confusing them, and they might end up coming out to you a little bit later in life when they have this kind of language.
That's what happened. Yeah, that's what happened with me as well. And I
Yeah.
feel like most like families that are a little more conservative, that's not really like something that they talk about in their house, or that's not there's not people that they know that are like that. Yeah,
Right.
definitely.
And I think that also might lead some conservative parents to think that it's a phase because you were never like this when you were a kid, but it was only because you didn't provide them with the language that they needed to explain themselves to you.
Or you saw it and you were a little nervous about it, and you kind of tried to push the other direction, even if you were coming from a place of trying to protect them from that kind of a life,
Hmm.
and it didn't quite work out.
Yeah, agreed.
All right. Ooh, all right, let's get the next one, bro.
Well, I think we in that we probably answered 3 and 4, which was at what age can someone truly know their gender identity?
Yeah, yeah, you hit that.
Around 5 or 6.
Right,
It
right,
starts as
right.
early as 5 or 6, and is being transgender a phase. Um, you know, uh, and you know what? Let's go a little bit into number 4. I think that it can be a phase, and I think that that's okay. I think
Mm,
that cisgender people are allowed to explore their gender. And I
right.
think if it is a phase, it's important for them to experience it while under the
Express it.
safety of your care.
Yes.
And you are only communicating to your child that you are a safe space in allowing them to express themselves. And if they are truly not transgender, they will become uncomfortable, and they will tell you who they are
Yeah.
whenever
Express.
right, whenever they figure that out, they will tell you who they are, and they will probably thank you for allowing them the safety and the space to discover that they are truly cisgender, you
Right.
know and
Right.
what better a way to figure out that you are indeed a woman than to dip your toe in manhood for a little bit and be like, ew, actually, no, i'm
Wow. Wow.
i'm a
I
woman,
did
I'm a
not
woman,
enjoy that.
I'm
Yeah.
definitely a woman. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
That's
Yeah.
just as affirming.
Right. Just as affirming.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because then you could say, I know I'm not transgender because I tried. And
Yeah.
it's, I didn't
Yeah.
identify with it.
And isn't that like what questioning is? Like, you don't have to be a child to be questioning about those things. Like, there's a lot of, there's a lot of people
Exactly.
at different ages that are just questioning and dipping their toe in that water. So,
Right.
yeah. Well, did I do something wrong to make my child transgender? Man, breaks my heart that there are people who think that there's something that you did or didn't, or that we are placing blame on the identity of someone that you love, so your child that you brought into this world. 1,000%, you did not do anything wrong to make your child transgender, regardless of what you can try not to do to prevent something like that from happening. I can tell you, does not work,
Mm-hmm.
um, and it will show its face exactly, when it's supposed to. Like, your child will share that with you, regardless of
Yeah.
the actions if you do work, if they truly are trans.
Mm-hmm. Whether you support them or you don't support them, they're going to end up who they will end up to be. And your child's going to end up becoming an adult and being able to choose the relationship that they have with you. So
Hmm.
keep that in mind while
Yeah.
you listen to your child. And remember that nobody nobody but you knows truly who you are. Nobody can tell you who you are. So what makes you
Right.
think that you can tell your child who they are while they are
Right.
trying to tell you? And I will say, while this isn't to say that you've done anything wrong to make your child transgender, but there is some scientific proof that um, a chemical wash in the mother's womb can be attributed to whether your child will end up being transgender or not. Um, there's a hormone wash, and
Yeah.
depending on the hormones that you get washed with,
Yeah, I mean,
it,
that's what I mean. Our like science is like doing like catching up. Like, in the next 10
yeah.
to 20 years, we're gonna have a lot more information than we do right now, and we
Oh
have a
yeah.
lot more information now than we did 10 to 20
Well,
years ago.
as long as this administration doesn't keep defunding the institutions that are doing the research, but yeah.
Right. Next
That's
question.
a story for another day.
We'll hit that in another episode, but we want to
What's the
help you out here
difference?
first.
What's the difference between gender identity and sexual orientation, Aaron?
Well, this is a good one, and this is one that that was probably the first question that I had to explain to my family when they were talking to me about it. And the how you feel as an individual, how I feel as me, in my body, in my soul, is completely different conversation than who I'm attracted to, who I want to
Yes.
have sex with, who I think I
Right.
want to make out with, who I think is attractive. Like, that has nothing to do with my brain and who I am as a person and how I want to be referenced and how I want to be gendered.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. People, I get all the time, specifically. Why did you transition just to date men? Isn't that being straight with extra steps? I want
Oh my
you,
god.
if that's something that you're thinking, I want you to, if you're listening to the podcast and not watching the video right now, I want you to mosey on over to the YouTube, and I want you
Who's on
to
over there?
look at my face. I want you to look at me, and I want you to tell me, if you were a straight man, would you find me attractive? And I think you would find the answer to be no. But if you ask that same question
Mm,
and change it to a gay man, I
mm,
think I think I'm
mm-hmm.
quite the catch for a gay man.
I
I don't know
mean,
about you. It's giving
yes,
it's giving
surf.
Birdcage. It's giving Nathan
He's
Lane
there.
in Birdcage mixed with Robin Williams in
Mm.
Birdcage.
Bo is a
So
handsome man.
thank you very much. I am. It's true. So it's right. So who you love does not dictate who you are as a person. And vice versa. Who you are as a person does not dictate who you love. We have straight
Yes.
cis women, and we have lesbian cis women, and we have bisexual cis women. We have
Yes.
straight men, we have gay men, cis men, we have bisexual cis men. They are all men, and men can love anybody, and women can love anybody. And that doesn't mean the goal isn't to be straight. And
Yes.
the that's what needs to be unlearned. The cis heterosexualism, which is the thought that the ideal being is someone who is cisgender and straight.
The
which is
normal,
not the
quote
case.
unquote.
Right,
Right.
quote unquote normal. That is what's considered normal in our society, and
Right.
that's why people say, "Isn't that just straight with extra steps? Why would you transition just to be gay? Why wouldn't
Hmm.
you just stay straight?" And I'm bisexual, but that's beyond the point. Um, Gender
Hmm.
identity and
Hmm.
sexual orientation are two separate things. There we go.
Separate things. That's
Yeah,
it. There's your answer.
yeah. What happens if my child, or what if my child changes their mind later? I think that goes back to what we said in number 4, that it's okay. It's okay if they change their
That's all
mind
right.
later.
They're
That's
checking it out.
why that's why we have a group of professionals. One cannot transition on one's own. One needs a
Yeah.
group of professionals that work together as a team for years, when especially when one is a minor. This is a year-long process. This is not your child comes out to you and then all of a sudden you have to make a decision about what hormones that they're going to be on, or if they're going to be on, or surgery. But none of this
Yeah.
is going to happen until they're 18.
There's no rush.
If your child is under 18, none of this happens until they reach of age, and the only thing that we're doing is social transition, which means a haircut, a name change, maybe some emails to the school, a wardrobe change, maybe, some awkward conversations around the home when you mess up, inevitably. It's fine. And then if they change their mind later, it's the same process. Maybe a
Right.
haircut, maybe a name change, wardrobe
Yeah.
change, some emails. It's fine. And then you have revealed yourself to your child to be a safe space
Right.
and someone that they can come to forever. And I think that's the biggest takeaway here. Even if you don't agree, you don't have to agree. They're
Yeah.
by telling you, by coming up to you and telling you, they are hoping, or you have already communicated to them that you're that safe space,
Hmm.
you know? Or they're
Yeah.
coming up to you and hoping that you'll be that safe space.
Yep.
And unfortunately, some parents let their children down in that department.
Right. Right.
Yeah. All right. Number 8. What do we got?
Is being transgender a mental illness?
Ooh. Well,
Mm.
that's a double-edged sword, because technically it okay. Well, let's break this down.
Hmm. Loaded question.
Short answer, no.
Short answer, no. Yeah.
Short answer, no. Long answer, everybody can be mentally ill. And I think that that's people take, like, because I do have mental illnesses, they correlate that with being transgender. I had these
Hmm.
before I even knew I was trans, first of all. And
Right.
I mean, cisgender people have depression too. Cisgender people are bipolar. I mean, I got it from my mother,
Yeah.
who is literally cisgender. So, like,
Yeah.
you
Right.
know, being so it's okay to be transgender and mentally ill. It does not mean that we have our mental illness from being trans, or we have our mental illness from the trauma that we receive from people treating us a certain way because we are trans. It is not inherent of the trans experience, if that makes
Yeah.
sense. You know what
Makes
I
sense.
mean?
Yeah. Yeah. It's
Yeah.
definitely
I think
it's definitely not. And
trans women particularly, I feel like carry an extra amount of trauma from
I
just
could
like
see that.
the news. you know,
Yeah.
the average
Statistically.
lifespan for a trans woman in America, for a black trans woman, is 35.
Yeah.
35
That's
years old.
insanity.
That's crazy. I'm
It's
going to be
shameful.
35 next year. That'd
Yeah.
be like
No way.
expecting me my life to be over next year, just because of people taking my life. Taking people like
Bananas.
me's life. Right. It's
Yeah.
crazy. So
Right.
so that is to say that there can be mental illnesses that transgender people have. Being transgender is not one of them. Now, on the DSM, it used to be that gender dysphoria was considered a mental illness, and I believe it was removed. But some insurance companies require there to be a diagnosis in order to get some trans care. So some of us might have a diagnosis of gender dysphoria or gender incongruency, or something along those lines, in order for us to receive the care that we need.
Care.
Um,
Yeah.
right. That isn't, and you know that I have a diagnosis of gender incongruence because my doctor said to my face, you know, like I have to put something down in order for them to approve your testosterone. It has to be for a reason. So right now, the way that things are, that's what they have to do. But that doesn't mean that it's something that I suffer from, because I don't.
Right. Right.
Um, so yeah,
There we go. That's a
there we
good
go.
answer.
All
That covered it. Yeah.
right. No,
Does my
what's next?
child have to medically transition to be really trans, quote unquote? The answer is no. The
Nope.
answer is no. No one has to do X, Y, and Z in order to be trans. So your kid may be comfortable in their body as far as, and they just want to socially transition, like Bo was explaining, right? Like socially, as in just, maybe a haircut, maybe a name change, maybe a wardrobe shift, just maybe some emails and awkward conversations, but not there's no like blueprint as in this is how to be really trans.
Mm-hmm.
That's not really how it works. So it's just them they're valid in their bodies as they are. They don't have to change anything externally in order
Right.
to get that validation. They may want to pass. That may be something that they may want, but
Mm-hmm.
but no, you do not have to medically transition to be transgender.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And I think if you're the kind of parent who is thinking that you don't want your child to get surgery eventually, um, you'd probably do better to affirm them as much as you can at home, because I mean, if they're going to get surgery, they're going to get surgery, you know. But if you wanted to remind them that their body is okay as it is, you should do well to affirm them as much as you can at home, because the chances are they're not getting that outside, at least with, like, not with strangers, you know. Like I said, if you emailed the school or whatever, and like
Externally,
the
yeah.
school was one of those schools that was supportive, then hopefully they would also be getting affirmed at school and with their friends. But you know, the trans experience is often getting misgendered, and the home is the most important place for this to happen, because they should be the most comfortable at their own home. And if you're trying to
Yes.
instill in them that their body is fine and they are who they are regardless of what their body looks like, you would do well to do the affirming at home as well. So
Absolutely. Yes.
I think, anyway.
Yes, you would.
What are so in that same vein, what are puberty blockers and are they safe? Um, Puberty blockers are, I mean, it's exactly what it sounds like. They in young cis in young trans girls or non-binary people born assigned male at birth, they will block androgens, and in assigned female at birth children, they will block estrogen, and some androgens. They are safe. They started, puberty blockers began as a treatment for cisgender children with precocious puberty. Um, so that means puberty that happens a little too early,
Mm.
and it is absolutely reversible. It was made to be reversible for those children with precocious puberty. You're on it until a reasonable time that you would continue puberty, and then you get off of them and you resume your puberty. That's what happens. It is safe. It is reversible. Worst case scenario, your child gets off it, and maybe they have a late puberty, a late first puberty. It can also be assisted along with HRT in the cisgender way. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
say your
Yeah, yeah,
child
yeah.
thinks that they're trans and then you put on puberty blockers. They find out a little bit later, maybe they're 16 and they're like, I'm not trans. I want to get off these puberty blockers. So, they start their first puberty at 16, but they can be given a supplemental testosterone to help their puberty along and like speed up so they can catch up to their peers. But it's totally fine, totally safe. And that's what it is.
Used often. Yeah.
Yeah, used often,
When
primarily for cisgender kids. So
so to check that out.
yeah,
When should hormone replacement therapy be considered? This is more of an individual conversation, right? Like this is between you and your child,
oh yeah,
their expressions to you, how they feel about it. Maybe after some gender therapy where they really dive into like what they're feeling, how they identify, what feels good, what doesn't feel right to them. But this is it's definitely an individual conversation, right?
yeah. For the longest time, I didn't want to start HRT because at first I didn't want facial hair,
I thought that too.
and yeah, I was like, I don't want a beard. I don't. I
I'll
like
shave every day.
I know, like I wish my voice was deeper, but I don't want a beard. And you can't pick and choose what you get from HRT. So
Correct.
I was like, no, I didn't want to lose my singing voice. I was used to singing with
Hmm.
my family, and I was used to,
Yeah.
and as I got older, I guess, or thought more on it, um, those things became started to become more appealing to me. The beard, the
Yeah.
deeper voice, like as a whole package. And then that's when
Yeah.
I decided to. And when the changes started happening, like the mustache came in and everything, the chest hair, and I became happy about those changes. Was when I
Yeah.
realized I should stay on HRT. Now, if
Right.
those changes started happening and I started becoming distressed, then
Yeah.
I would take that as a sign that I don't want to be on HRT and stop.
Right. 1,000%.
Yeah,
Yeah. You listen to your body and listen to what feels good, what feels
exactly.
right.
Right. And there's so many different ways to take it that you can have it be as slow a process or as fast as possible, you know?
Hmm.
So,
Yeah, definitely.
right. All right. What are the risks and benefits of medical transition for minors? Well,
Loaded.
yeah. Not there's usually medical transition for a minor would only happen if like your team of professionals, the parent and the child all agreed on it, right?
Right.
Um that's the only situation that it would be happening. And the only thing that it looks like is puberty blockers. That's the only
Right.
kind of medical transition a minor is having is puberty
Right.
blockers. And in small instances, older minors, 16 to 17, might be having double mastectomies. They are not having breast augmentations, but they are having mastectomies. But I would like to point out that also, as is the case with puberty blockers, 97% of all double incision mastectomies performed for minors are performed on cisgender boys with gynecomastia.
Wow.
So,
I did not know that.
right, it's the same surgery for the
Hmm.
same reason. Gynecomastia is a benign disease. The chest tissue, the breast tissue that forms on cisgender boys with gynecomastia is benign tissue. It will not affect their health. It will not affect their day to day, but it does affect their mental health. And that is
Hmm.
exactly the case for trans boys with
I see.
breast
Hmm.
tissue, trans men with
Hmm.
breast tissue. It's the same surgery performed for the same exact reason to prevent to assist in mental health. The psychological effect of the breast tissue is
Yeah.
exactly why it's performed for cisgender boys, and why in the 2% of cases that it is performed on a trans boy. But the fact of the matter is that it's so rarely happening on
Right, right,
trans boys that
right,
we can firmly say that the chances are, if a minor is medically transitioning, it is only puberty blockers, which, as we
right.
discussed, are reversible. So,
Yep.
and only happening if the team of professionals and the parents agree on it. So you know this has
Yeah.
to be something
There's
that
a
you're
lot of
saying
factors
yes
that have
to.
to come together. Yeah.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
How
All
do I
right. What's
find a
next?
gender affirming doctor or therapist for my child? That's a good question.
I don't even
Uh, a,
know.
l- I use a website that I will link in the bio. But
Oh snap.
it's a psychology. I think it's Psychology Today. I have to do some
Oh.
digging, but they do have a filter that they did not have a filter on when I first started using this website, but they do have a filter that you can select for LGBTQ.
Oh my god.
And that is something that I've been using for to find therapists. Like my therapist that I have now, I found that actually all of my therapists I've found through there using that.
Oh wow.
Not sponsored at all, but
Yeah.
I definitely have worked with them, and I would say that is a good place to start. And I'll link it in the bio of the episode too.
Oh heck yeah. Awesome. Um.
Yes,
I guess I was just kind of lucky. I heard through the grapevine about the Mazzoni Center in
there you go.
Philly, and that's just kind of where I've been my entire
Yeah,
transition. So,
yeah. So check your local like queer community centers and things like that. Like there might be like a P flag or something in your area where you'd be able to reach out and kind of they would have more resources for your local specific spaces that are welcoming.
hmm
Yeah.
okay. The next one is, what if the other parent or family members disagree about medical care for your child? I have no idea.
Yeah, I mean, this is something that obviously you should be able, like you as I feel like you as your marriage should be discussed separately and whether you're going to be on the same page about those things. And I feel like that's just part of like raising a child together is kind of talking about their different medical experiences and what's going on and trying to decide what's best for them in that moment and work together as a family and include your child in those conversations. And because obviously you are just only an advocate for them.
Right.
But yeah, for as that's definitely a loaded question and can also be something that you can unpack in a therapy section as well from a
Yeah.
neutral standpoint. But at the end of the day, you have to understand that your child is telling you this for a reason. Like they're sharing this information and it should be taken seriously.
hmm I am personally a big advocate of cutting people off immediately. Um, if you are supportive of your trans child and other family members aren't, you can tell them, like, either respect my child or you lose access to my child.
Yes.
Unfortunately, that's going to be the
Yeah.
case.
Mhm.
And they have the choice. Um, and cut them out of your child's life if they refuse to respect your child. If it is the other co-parent, um, uh, I guess it would depend also on what state you live in, because some
Yeah.
states, like Florida probably, you know, um you wouldn't. If it came down to like custody, I believe the other co-parent would probably succeed in a state like Florida. In which case the best thing you could do, I don't even know, move.
Right. Do your research about where you are for sure, and understand that you're gonna have to listen to your child and try and create a safe space for open dialogue for both directions for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
This episode is good. I feel like we're diving into some good stuff right now. We've had 30 questions. I think we should split it into a two-part. Like I think you guys should come in for a part two to finish the 15 through 30 questions.
Absolutely.
I think maybe this is your 30-minute drive to work. Maybe this is your 30-minute time to your relaxation period before you go into work. But
Your lunch break.
Absolutely, yeah. Your lunch break, next lunch break. Make sure you check out the next one. We'll do another 15 top 15 that's going on. We'll finish out our 30.
Hell
But
yeah.
just to wrap up our last 15th question: will my child be able to have biological children in the future?
Oh, absolutely.
Yes,
We have to use the same steps that cis people do to prevent getting pregnant. Um, HRT does not make us infertile. Nobody's chemically castrated. In some cases, HRT increases libido, um, and we have to do the same things everybody else does to avoid pregnancy if we don't want it.
it's true. It's true. And if they do want it, there are many ways to be able to have children that are biologically yours.
Yeah.
Um, and I'm sure there's an episode about it in our podcast, so dive into that one too. We'll
Oh
pick
yeah.
apart those different ways.
Absolutely. We hope you learned something today, and hug
Yes,
your kid for us. We love you,
yes, yes. And I
and we'll see
appreciate you coming
you,
and hearing this. And we'll
and
see
we'll
you in the
see
next
you
one.
in the next one.
Okay, bye.
Bye.